So ever since I was little, I pretty much loved drawing pictures and telling stories. When I was about 13, I read The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton, and I learned that she was a teenager when she wrote that book, which made me feel like being a writer was possible. And a few years later, I wrote my own first novel, a coming of age on the road story. When I went to the university, I studied to become a public school art teacher, but I kept writing stories. I submitted to literary magazines. I took workshops in the summers between teaching students. I lost and found agents, and I just kept writing the whole time. In the summer of 2017, the town where I live, Charlottesville, Virginia, was targeted by white nationalists to hold a rally. That violent event, in which one young local counter-protester was killed and countless other people were injured, made national and even international news. And over the next year, I kept learning more about the history of local Black communities, which included a legacy of violence and racism going all the way back to the time of the founding fathers. Here in Charlottesville, that really means Thomas Jefferson, the third American president, whose plantation home sits about 10 minutes away from my home. Thomas Jefferson, like many of his contemporaries, his wealth and his achievements depended largely on enslaved people. And he also had children with one of the enslaved people he owned, a woman named Sally Hemings. And some of the descendants of Jefferson and Hemings still live in Charlottesville to this day. All of this left me with a ton of questions. Questions like, whose voices get to be included in recorded history? And how do I and my neighbors respond to racist violence? And what does it mean that some people would want someone like me not to feel at home in this country where I was also born? And writing my Monticello was in part my response to some of these questions.